Hi everyone, my name's Seth, and this is my 2019 KTM 150SX. The internet is full of reviews when a new machine gets released. They'll let you know what all the manufacturers have changed and updated for the newest bikes. But if you're looking for a long-term review, you might struggle finding a good one. But today, you're in luck. This machine has 426.3 hours on it, and I've put every one of those hours on myself. So we're going to give you a real long-term review of the 2019 model KTM 150SX. Before we get started, let's talk about the life that this bike has lived. Most of the time, it's found in the woods. I'm not a big moto guy. I do make occasional trips to the track, but I can't really say that this bike's lived a rough life on the motocross track. In the woods, however, it gets no mercy. Whether it's hard enduro, racing hare scrambles, or anything in between, I'm all for it. It's been submerged, drugged through the woods, flipped over, tumbled down hills. If you name it, if you've seen it on the internet, I've probably done it to this machine. If you're like me, you want to know what the pain points are when you're looking to buy a new machine. What could you potentially have to dump a lot of money into? And when you're talking about a KTM small bore like a 125 or 150, we've all heard the horror stories. The older models have issues with the Kickstarter, and the newer models are snapping connecting rods in half, which is kind of scary. However, this model in particular, the 2019, has had none of those issues. I've never had a major mechanical failure with this bike. All the failures it's had are just common wear items. I've had to replace a few bearings. I did snap a chain that had a few too many hours on it, but nothing has ever left me stranded or having to dump a whole lot of money into this bike to get it back running. Everyone wants to know about maintenance on this bike. When I talk to someone and they see how many hours are on it, they're always asking me, how many pistons have you put in? How often do you rebuild the engine? How often do you change the oil? And I don't keep extremely detailed records, but I have a pretty good idea on how long stuff lasts, and I record everything on a dry erase board. That helps me just know that something's due to be changed, and when I get time to change it, that's what I'll do. But I can give you a rough idea of all the parts that have been through this machine. It's got one set of chassis bearings, a few sets of wheel bearings, at least 4 sets of rubber handlebar mounts. They do wear out and they really help with vibration. 8 pistons, 1 crankshaft, 1 set of transmission bearings, and 1 set of clutch plates. I think 21 oil changes, if my math is correct, on the transmission, and maybe 8 or 9 fluid changes on the shock and fork. I try and do them about every 40 hours, so that would be 10 changes, and I don't always get to it at 40 hours, so we'll go with 7 or 8. The bike has also been through a few sets of foot pegs. I tend to crush them in. They're not the strongest design, but I really like the OEM foot pegs. I have had to replace the shift tip once. I broke that, and I wore the brake pedal completely smooth. There were no knobbies left on it. It was just polished. So it's got an aftermarket stainless steel brake tip on it right now. I don't run tubes, so we don't have to worry about how many of them have been in, but I've been through a whole bunch of tires. We're not even going to get into that. Plastics have also been an issue for me because I ride in the winter, and it seems like if you wreck in the winter, you're breaking a piece of plastic. That's just the nature of the beast. But this bike is not maintenance intensive. Just learn your machine, and when something needs replaced, replace it, and it will never leave you stranded. This is the board that I keep in my garage to keep track of all of my maintenance on both the bikes. I write down the hours when I do the maintenance, and then I can kind of compare and see if I'm pushing stuff too long. You know, when I tear the engine apart, I see the cranks falling apart at 333 hours. Then I know next time I can do the crank at like 275 or 300. I can also keep track of the oil changes. You know, if you're riding a bunch of days a week, that can become kind of daunting, and next thing you know, you're 30 hours in on an oil change, and clutch plates don't really like that. Normally you can feel them slipping. But the left side of this is a parts list 95% of the time. Right now it's erased, and I have some general information for you guys about how often I do services as far as oil, cranks, pistons, air filters, you know, that kind of thing. And something I feel that's really important to a two-strokes longevity is your fuel. Not so much the premix you use, but the actual fuel itself. If you're using, you know, ethanol fuel or cheap fuel, it's really going to hurt the longevity of your machine. That's just my opinion. I don't have anything to back that up. I don't think it's critical what product you use to service your machine as long as it's high quality. I am a big fan of synthetic oils, so that's the way I'm going to tell you to lean if you're looking for something. But here's exactly what I use to service my bike. That's going to wrap it up for my long-term review on this 2019 150SX. I'll probably hold on to this bike for a little while longer, as I'm not 100% confident in first model year machines. So maybe I'll do another review at 600 or 750 hours. But for now, if you have any questions, make sure to put them in the comment section, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Have a great day, guys.